Hello again, it's Noob, and today we get to look at something very cool. This is a brand new universal gauge curtained lever lock pick set from GJ Locks. Full disclosure, this was sent to me for review and to keep by GJ Locks. For the purposes of this video, it's not a paid review, all thoughts of my own. I don't share the content of this video with GJ Locks before I publish it. So, moving on from that, what is a curtained lever lock pick tool? Well, it's for curtained lever locks. Here is a see-through curtained lever lock, called that because of this metal curtain you see in the keyway. This is a relatively basic anti-pick feature to stop people tensioning the lock using wires, and you can also see that it makes it harder to get wires up into the keyway as well. This tool and others like it do defeat that mechanism, but this is still better than a non-curtain lever lock. You'll notice that the curtain itself acts on this bolt to pull the bolt stump in through the gates in the lever pack like that. So you can see how it's actually this metal curtain assembly here which is pulling that bolt assembly through. It's not actually the key directly pulling on the bolt via a talon at the back like in non-curtain locks. So the tool itself is universal gauge. What does that mean? Well, here is a key gauge, and you'll notice that, and what is a gauge? Well, there's like a million different versions of a gauge depending on what you're trying to measure, but this is just a key gauge, and you can see that we have everything from, this fits into somewhere around I'd say 8.5 gauge keyways, probably as high up as, what would be comfortable, because you've got to have a bit of space, probably 4 gauge. I'd say you might be able to get away with higher, but this is tapered all the way down so that all that would happen is if you come across a lock of a different gauge, the lower the gauge number, the wider the curtain is, and therefore the deeper this tool goes. Let me show you. So this is a 7 gauge key, very standard in this era lock, and you'll see that this tool will go in and tension about that deep into the lock. So I can turn and tension that curtain using this tool. Here is a very, very worn old chub, which actually takes a little bit of wriggling to open, but you can see how wide that is. And if you look at this, this isn't a 7 gauge key, this is actually I believe a 5 gauge key or thereabouts. So this is a particularly wide keyway. It could actually be closer to 4.5 actually, but this tool will still go in quite deep this time and tension that curtain. The de facto standard for curtained lever picks has tended to be single gauge tools like these. These are perfectly good at what they do, but they do have some limitations in that if there's anything a little bit smaller or anything a bit bigger, these can be a little bit loose in the keyways. So having a uni gauge tool like this means that you have one tool and it can fit multiple gauges and not just a couple of them. Another consideration of these single gauge tools is that the tensioning tip here, that little step at the end of the curtain tool, might be too thick without modification to get into some of these more slender keyways, which is a problem that this tool doesn't have at all, and you've still got room for your lever wire down there. So on the GJ Locks website, which is now open up to more than just professional locksmiths, I'll come on to that in a bit, there are a number of variations of this universal gauge curtained lever lock pick set. I have the one here with the round lever wire handles, and this is kind of cool. I think it's anodized aluminium. This one is in red. Sorry about the squeaking. And it just screws on and off, and this allows you to very quickly just change out your lever wires. There are 4 that come in this set, so we have a couple of left-handed ones and a couple of right-handed ones. So you can see here that we have longer and shorter left and right. So you see here some shorter ones and some longer ones. They are nicely finished, not overly polished, but there is a nice finish on them. There's no sharp edges, no burns, anything like that. So these are actually finished off very nicely, and it's very, very simple to swap these out. You literally just unscrew your lollipop handles, put in a new wire, and you're ready to go. You get obviously your 4 wires, your round handle in this set, and you get that universal, curtain lever lock tensioning tool. Let's just see how it works in principle. So I'll do a demonstration in a second of me just picking a lock with this, but you can see how that central fin acts as the point of contact on the curtain and a guide for the lever wire. So the lever wire will go in and it will rest against that central fin and act as a guide, which is really, really, really useful. I think we need a quick demo before we come back to some conclusions. So in the vise, not as a demonstration of my picking ability, I'm going to keep this, I think it's called the Lankett slot, open so you can see the lever pack. Just really a demonstration of the tool in use. So this is a 7 gauge key for a 7 gauge curtained lever lock. I just need to reset that curtain a bit. There we go. And that should open and close very nicely. You can see that there are false gates in here, but we will try to navigate around those. Here is that uni-gauge pick tool. So this is the curtain pick, goes in, touching on the right hand side as you see it from here, but we can pop in our lever wire, which is a left-handed lever wire, like that, in like that, oh actually into the keyway, and we should have plenty of space to move this wire back and forth. Okay, so applying it, let's move that forwards a little bit for you, that better, isn't it? Applying a little bit of tension, starting at the front. I feel lever 1 is binding, and I've got a nice click out of that. 2, bouncy. 3 is binding, I think. Yeah. 4, corkscrew on the 4 a little bit. Nothing on 5 yet. Back to the front. So testing 1. 2's now binding, I think. Yeah. Might need to get under lever 5 at the back. I think that is binding. Nice click. Back under 4. That sort of reverse corkscrew motion. I feel there's a little play on 4, but we'll come back to maybe 1 at the front and just see where we are. 1, 2, 4 there. Okay, back to the front again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like we're almost there, but I can't feel why we're not open yet. Oh, just hit 5 and we have the open. Lovely, good job. So there you go, a very quick demonstration of the tool in use. It worked exactly as you'd expect it to. I found it very easy to use and clearly it's pretty effective. But I think we need to do some conclusions on this. First up, what does this cost? Now the prices on GJ Locks' website is excluding VAT, so if you do pay VAT, you've got to add that 20% on top, but this is 14999, about 150 UK pounds at the time of recording this video. Obviously prices change over time, so check the website. So pros, it's actually surprisingly light. It works exactly as you'd expect. The fin down the center acts as a really nice guide, and it's just very easy to use. And it is very useful, of course, in those locks which might have a slightly smaller or slightly wider gauge than your standard single gauge tools allow you to pick, and without having to make up your own tools, which is quite good. So this is a really nice one-stop shop. That being said, because there is a small taper in here, sometimes you get a tiny movement side by side when you have the lock in your hand. I don't think it makes a big difference to the picking, but you don't always get that sort of a pivot on a standard single gauge pick. Does it really make a difference? As a hobbyist, I don't think it does at all, and I have found this, as I said, to be really nice to use. One feature I didn't mention, which is really useful, is that you actually have some little grooves cut here, and you can actually, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little lines cut onto the surface here. Why is that useful? Well, what you can do is when you locate your first lever, you can actually mark off a little mark on here, and you can actually see how deep your pick is going. Can you see those little grooves there? You can see how deep your pick's going just by putting a little mark, a little bit of tape around this, and that actually will act as a little guide so you can see how deep your lever wire is in the lock, and actually you can mark off which lever you're on as well. So that, again, very, very nice little feature. Another thing I do like about this, I like this little lollipop handle. I'm trying to minimize the squeaking on this. It is actually very comfortable. I like the pattern on it and the color, and it's very, very easy to just swap out to a new pick. So depending on what length of pick wire you're going for, what handedness, depending on whether you're going to go in from the front or the back, or the way that the levers are arranged inside the locks, because that can change too on occasion depending on the lock itself. So as you can see, that was a very easy, and it's held in very nicely as well. So that's really nice. The wires, again, I think are finished just to the right degree. They're not rough, they're not sharp. They have a nice little shine to it, but not overly polished, because that can be a tiny bit slippy if they are. Personally, I prefer a little bit of polish on them, but I know that over polishing can lead to just slipping off some of those levers on occasion. So I think it's a nice balance, and you'll see how flat those wires are as well, which gives you nice clearance underneath the bellies of the levers in those locks. So overall, a lot to like. Anything I don't like? Not really. I mean, it does what it says on the tin. It comes in a nice package. It comes with sort of other things to keep it from scratching itself when it's being transported. It's a really quite nice set. Is there anything that I would maybe change about this? Now, only one thing, and it's a tiny, tiny thing, and that is I'd like another one of these little lollipop handles, so that I could have a left and a right, or a long and a short lever wire, just with a handle on this. I mean, it is so easy to swap this out. I'm just being a little bit greedy here. Of course, you know, it'd be nice to have another one of these. Sorry about squeaking again. And it's just so that I can have a couple of these things set up, ready to go when I want them. Which, when I'm having a bit of a picking session, doing a few locks at a time, I just want to move from wire to wire. And these handles are really nice. I think there is an option in another set to have a sort of more oval handle, if that is your preference, rather than one of these little round lollipop style ones. So yeah, there you go. Overall, I really like this set from GJ Locks. It is available to purchase. You don't need to register as a locksmith or anything like that anymore, which is really cool. So that's a positive. I'll leave links below if you are interested. So if you do have any comments, leave them below. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. If you haven't subscribed, now's a great time to do so for more content like this. Hit that like button if you like the video, it really helps my channel out. Otherwise, happy picking, stay safe, and I will see you all next time.